Sunday GUNDAY. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things, bringing you Sunday GUNDAY from the comfort of my living room this weekend. If you didn't catch yesterday's video, let me explain to you what I got going on. Yesterday was move-in day. I just got settled in my new apartment. Next weekend is Memorial Day weekend and I got some plans with friends, and then the following weekend I'll finally be heading back to Pennsylvania where I can bring you a normal Sunday GUNDAY. Last weekend you probably saw that I did a normal Q&A. There were a ton of questions, and out of all of those questions a lot of people were asking about guns and knives and other gear that I'm interested in. So this morning I posted on Instagram telling you guys to ask me some of your best questions, and we got a lot of them to go through. A lot of the common questions have already been answered in previous videos that I made, so if you guys want the answers to those, just go back and watch some of my old videos. Like I said, there's a lot of questions here, so let's just jump right into it. What would your dream gun be? That one's pretty simple. You guys have probably already saw me build my Glock 19. That was me building my dream gun. The reason why that's my dream gun is because on top of being super functional, it's also really aesthetically pleasing to me. It's definitely not for everyone. I know a lot of people's dream guns would be something that's like fully automatic or something that's really hard to get, something you only see in movies. But the idea of a dream gun and just buying a gun in general is pretty similar to clothing when it comes down to it. I like wearing jeans, t-shirts, and hats. Some people might think I look like a fucking idiot, but in the end, I'm the one wearing the clothing. It might not work for me, it might work for you, and vice versa. How often do you carry, job or location, etc.? If not often, is it at least with you in your car? This one's a little bit tough to answer because most of you know from my job I have to move and travel a lot, hence why I'm in New Jersey right now. So let me break it down like this. When I'm in Pennsylvania, my home state where I can legally carry, I would say that I'm carrying probably 90% of the time. Out of that 10% when I'm not carrying, I would say 5% of the time I'm either in a bar or drinking with friends. Guns and alcohol obviously don't mix. And then the other 5% of the time when I'm not carrying, I might be going into a courthouse or a post office or a school, somewhere where guns aren't allowed. Most of the time it will then be in my car if the law allows it. After putting as many rounds as you have through your firearms, which is your favorite to shoot? That's a tough one. Out of all my guns, the ones that are most fun to shoot are probably the ones that you guys see all the time. So my custom Glock 19, my Radical Firearms AR pistol, and my Remington 870 Tactical. Those three are really fun to shoot, but I don't think anything really compares to shooting a 50 cal Desert Eagle. That gun is expensive as hell if you're out shooting a lot, but that's probably the most fun thing to shoot. Do you still like the Polymer 80, and after all those rounds, is it better? I've actually done a follow-up video after the build of the P80, so if you haven't seen that already, check it out right here. And yes, I still like the P80. After putting all those rounds through it, it definitely smooths it out. Once I get more time, that's definitely one of the guns that I want to put a lot more rounds through. Do you carry a secondary weapon for your primary weapon, a gun, knife, etc.? I would say about 95% of the time that I'm carrying a gun, I always have a knife. I pretty much have a knife on me every day as it is. But I personally don't look at my pocket knife as a weapon, it's more of a tool and what I use it for. The knife that I've been carrying lately is this carbon fiber zero tolerance, and this thing is a big knife. It could definitely fit into a secondary weapon type of category. I don't have any training with knives because I do only use them as tools, but this could definitely come in handy as a secondary weapon if you wanted it to. What is the dumbest thing you've seen at a range? I really haven't seen anything crazy stupid at a range. I don't shoot at public ranges that often, but there is one dumb thing that comes to mind that kind of bothers me a little bit. This one time a couple months ago, I was at my local range shooting my Desert Eagle, and as most of you know, it's expensive as hell to shoot. At the time, the ammo that I was shooting was about $1.50 to $1.70 a shot, so it's not cheap at all. As I was shooting, I noticed this big creepy Astrovan type thing pull up next to my car, and the guy was just sitting in his van watching me shoot. After a couple minutes, I picked up my brass, I set it on the table, and then I was moving my stuff down to the rifle side of the range. Back then and now, I don't really have any interest in reloading spent cases, so I took the cases and I put them in a bucket underneath the designated shooting benches. As soon as I drop 2 handfuls of cases into this bucket, the dude gets out of his van, walks down, picks up the bucket, dumps them into a bag, and leaves. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at a bench 10 yards away staring at this guy, like trying to make eye contact with him. Normally, if you're gonna come down and swipe someone's brass, you at least say hi to them, ask them what they're shooting, how their day's going, some bullshit like that. But not this motherfucker. He knew that I was shooting a Desert Eagle, which was $1.50 a shot. You could have put that shit under your pillow and he would be at your house like the Tooth Fairy at night. So I watched him grab all my brass and I just sat there like, bruh. So dumb comes to mind whenever I think of that story. Would you like to have the time to be able to train more? Situational tactics with your AR pistol? Learn more tactical defense shooting with your pistol? And the answer to that is definitely. If I had the time and money, I would definitely love to take any kind of class like that because as most of you know, I'm not trained. I'm a normal dude who's into guns. I try to practice as much as possible and be safe about it at the same time. Eventually when I get the time, I'm definitely going to be flying out to Vegas to train with Roger from QVO Tactical. If you've ever checked out their site, you'll know that they make awesome custom Kydex holsters, but at the same time, Roger hosts classes as well. I'll leave the link to their new site down in the description and you can go check that out if you're interested. Weirdest occasion you've ever used your knife? About 2 years ago, I was down in Ocean City, Maryland, staying in a hotel right off the boardwalk with a bunch of friends. There's a good chance there was some booze involved, but long story short, we got back to the hotel and my friend was complaining about his foot. I took a close look at it and he had a splinter about this big from the boardwalk lodged in his foot and there was nothing to grab a hold of it to pull it out with. At that time, I was EDCing the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and that thing is sharp as hell. So my dude propped his foot up like this. I took the tip of that blade and sliced down the back of his heel, sort of like a scalpel. Got just enough skin out of the way that you could grab onto it and pulled that thing right out. It was pretty disgusting, but that's pretty unusual. This is a good one. Any changes to your EDC? Let's check it out. Nexus 6P, new pop sockets. As you saw, same ZT as my last EDC update video. Travex Contour, go comb in the front. A lot of people have been asking me questions about that, so I'll leave links down in the description. MicroStream Light, Blade HQ spinner. To be honest, I'm not sure why I carry this because I don't use it that much, but yesterday I used it to nail some pins into the wall to hang a painting. Travax link for the keys, and no more Gerber dime. I actually went back to the Gerber shard because I didn't really use the dime that much. And lastly, if you watch yesterday's video, you'll see that someone sent me a new prototype EDC belt. This is that belt. This is how it works. I've only been wearing it for a day, so maybe in the future I'll let you guys know what I think about it. Are you going to try to get a CCW in Jersey, and are you going to purchase a Jersey compliant firearm for home? No and no. One, I'm not going to get a CCW here because it's next to impossible. And two, I don't really live in a bad area. While it would be nice to have a gun here with me, it's not really on my priority list. If you could pick one revolver, which would it be? I actually don't own any revolvers right now, but one that's been on my to-buy list for a while now is the Ruger GP100. That gun has always stuck out to me as being a reliable, good-looking revolver, so I think I might pick that up in the future. If you could only carry one gun and knife for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? For the knife, I'm going with the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 because I like the full flat grind. It's a folding knife so it'll fit in your pocket. And the compression locks on those things are really nice. It's definitely one of my favorite EDC blades. As for the gun, I'm gonna go with a stock Glock 19. You get a bunch of rounds, it's super reliable, easy to conceal for me. In my opinion, it's one of the best do-it-all types of guns. What are some accessories that you like on different knives? Seatbelt cutters, glass breakers, etc. To be honest with you, I don't really like any of that stuff. The four main things that I look for in a pocket knife are 1, a good pocket clip, 2, the opening mechanism, whether it's a flipper or a spidey hole, 3, the locking mechanism. Frame locks are alright, but I prefer an axis lock or a compression lock, and 4, the grind on the blade. I prefer most of my blades to have a full flat grind. Again, all that stuff is personal preference, but to each his own. Here's a big one. Have you ever had to use your firearm outside of the range for any reason? Self-defense, protection of property, etc.? Thankfully, no. I'm 24 years old right now and I've been carrying a gun pretty much since the day I turned 21. In those 4 years, luckily I've never had to draw my weapon, but I've definitely been in situations where I'm glad that I had it with me just because it made me feel a bit safer. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Thoughts on the Glock 43 as a smaller concealed carry? Holy shit, I've gotten a ton of questions about the Glock 43. To answer that question quick, it's dope. I just bought one, you should too. Like I've said a bunch of times now, I'm definitely going to be making a specific video just for the Glock 43. I just need the time to do it, so stay tuned for that. Favorite pistol caliber? 9mm hands down all day. This will be a good question to end it on. Which of your friends or family's guns are you most envious of and why? So most of my friends and family aren't really into guns as much as I am, so nothing really comes to mind when I think of a gun that a friend or family member owns that I'm envious of. That question kind of brings me back to what I was talking about earlier in the video about how guns are such a personal preference. A countless amount of times I get questions on YouTube and Instagram asking super specific questions about my opinion on a specific firearm, a certain knife, and things like that. I really don't mind answering questions, obviously I just answered a bunch of them. But when it comes to really specific questions like the application of a certain firearm, you really gotta take anyone's opinion with a grain of salt. Everyone has personal preferences, so a gun that feels really good in my hand is definitely not gonna feel good in everybody's hand. What I think might make a good home protection gun might not be good for protecting your own home. Some gun that I might think is the ugliest piece of shit waste of money ever might be your favorite gun, who knows? What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to buying guns and knives and everything that I just talked about, it's a really personal choice. That is one of the reasons why I structure the content the way I do on this channel. Everything is my opinion, I'm just having fun with it, and you shouldn't take it too seriously. So hopefully that has shed some light on the questions that you guys wanted answers to. If you asked a question, thanks for participating, and if you made it this far in the video, feel free to leave it a thumbs up. Like I said, next Sunday I'm also going to be busy, so if you guys want another video like this to supplement the Sunday GUNDAY loss, let me know. That is it for today. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.